Hello everyone, this is Tushar Biswas and welcome to the Study Companion. This is the second video, the second lecture on the topic life processes, and today we are going to learn about nutrition and its types. So to begin with, what do you mean by nutrition? What do you actually mean by nutrition? Nutrition क्या होता है हम लोगों के लिए? Nutrition is something which the organism needs for the body to function properly. न्यूट्रिशन होगा तभी तो बॉडी चलेगा. If the nutrition is there in our body, if we eat food, if we drink water, that is, if we provide the body with fuel, then only the body will be able to generate its energy. If the energy can be generated through various other processes, which will be discussed later on, if the energy can be generated, then only can the body function properly. Now let's see what has the definition has to say. Okay, then defining nutrition, anything we are going to study has to be defined properly first. So let's define nutrition. And guys, I will be teaching in English right now. This video, the videos thereafter will be in English. Majority of the terms used would be in English. The explanation would be in English. So किसी को हिंदी में चाहिए और बांग्ला में चाहिए. So you people can always revert to me in comments. You can always write it down in comments. I will give a dedicated video including the same information but in a different language. I will explain it in a different language. Okay, Hindi, Bengali, English, anything. English will be the main language right now. Hindi and Bengali will come only if requested. Thank you. Moving on to the topic. Nutrition. So what do you mean by nutrition? Nutrition is something which we know can never be gifted. Nutrition is something which we have to obtain. We have to obtain nutrition. We need to obtain it from where? From the natural resources around us. From the natural resources. Those natural resources which the earth has provided to us. We have to find our nutrition over there. The basic things, our bodies need those basic elements to survive. Elements in the form of trace minerals. Minerals in the form of trace elements need to survive. Vitamins, proteins, everything. Atoms and molecules being the basic part of these things. Chemical compounds will always contain atoms and molecules. Right? Chemical compounds. Compounds are formed of molecules. Molecules are formed of atoms. And hence, these atoms are also constituting our body. So, then see, we are obtaining our food, our nutrition from the basic atoms and molecules, which has been given by Earth to ourselves. Okay, now what is nutrition? What do you mean by nutrition? Nutrition is a process. Nutrition is a process. Nutrition is a process through which organisms obtain food. Okay, or you can also say the process of intake. Process of intake. You taking nutrition. Process of intake. Taken into the body. Taken into our body. The process of intake of nutrients. Intake of what? Of nutrients. Now, nutrients is a collective term. this term nutrients is a bit collective. It's a collective term. Collective matlab, this term is used to explain a set of objects. A set of objects is explained by this term. Just small, short. You can like say is a bit of like to shorten the definition. This term nutrition is a process of intake of nutrients. Of what of nutrients? What are the nutrients? Nutrients like proteins, fats, carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, and water. Nutrients are the basic thing. Nutrients are the basic blocks, are the basic, the, what do you say? It's like a basic block. It's a basic block of what? It's like a basic block of what? The most basic block of nutrition is the nutrients. Nutrients are present there, hence we have nutrition. Nutrients अगर नहीं होता यहाँ पे, we wouldn't have had nutrition. We wouldn't have had the energy to evolve through time. We wouldn't be living right now. Our ancestors might have died if we didn't have nutrition. We couldn't efficiently utilize nutrition. Okay, so since we are the only race, we human beings are the only race which can efficiently utilize nutrition. We can analyze the nutrition available to us, the raw material available where we live, our habitat. We can analyze the habit, our we can analyze the raw materials present in our habitat, and we can always we try to use those raw materials as efficiently as we can, and hence there has been no extinction of human beings just because we can just efficiently use it. Now there will be people speaking about the extinctions of the past races. Of course, evolution has come in between. I will be teaching that part in the 4th chapter when we speak of evolution. That evolution and extinction are two different things. Okay. So yeah, of course we will be having a dedicated topic over there in evolution chapter, but it's later on. Let's focus on nutrition. Nutrition is a process. Nutrition is a process of what? Of intake. Intake of what? Intake of nutrients. What are the nutrients? Carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, proteins, minerals, water. Now people will be asking like, why water? Why is water in nutrients? Of course, water is required. Water is required for us to live. Water cleanses our body. We excrete. We give a lot of excretion out through water. We need water to excrete various kinds of wastes like creatinine, hippuric acid, and then uric acid, urea. That too we will be speaking of in the later parts of the series. Okay, so minerals and water. Not only the intake. If we take in nutrients, we have taken it in. Only taken it in. What will we do afterwards? Like, we have taken in the nutrients. Now we don't know what to do. So it will be a waste. Taking in would be a waste. We won't be wasting something very important to us, right? No one does. So not only taking in, but also the utilization of these nutrients. See, water and the utilization of these nutrients and the utilization the utilization of these nutrients by whom? By the organism. Said by an organism over here. So, nutrition is a process of intake of nutrients like proteins, fats, carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, and water by an organism, and also the utilization of these nutrients by the organism. Which organism? The organism obtaining the nutrition, or organism taking in the nutrients. Okay, the organism taking in the nutrients. Let me make it a bit more clear. Nutrition is a process of intake of nutrients like proteins, fats, carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, water by an organism, and also the utilization of these nutrients by the organism. So there are two keywords over there: intake and utilization. In case you are writing this definition in the exam, this definition is fit to give you 2 marks. This definition is fit for 2 marks. Anything more than that won't come. 2 marks is the highest you can expect. Two marks on this definition is the highest you can expect. Like define on this question actually. Define nutrition. Highest possible marks that could be awarded to this question is only 2, nothing more than that. Okay, anything more than that would require an addition to the question. Only define nutrition means only 2 marks. That's the highest marks you can be given. You can also be given 1 mark. 2 is the highest. 2 is the highest you can be given. 2 is the highest on this question. So this definition is fit to fetch you 2 marks, full 2 marks. Okay, because it's pretty informative. Go ahead, copy it. I will wait for a minute, not a minute actually. You can pause the video, copy it down, and yeah, I'm erasing it out. Okay, I'm erasing the video now. Not the video, sorry. I'm erasing the. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Now let us focus on the types of nutrition. Okay, but before that, I would like to say only one thing. Nutrition, organism is taking in the nutrition. Okay, nutrition is a process, not a work actually. It's a process. You always follow a process to do something. Nutrition is also a process. If you follow that process, then only you will be able to obtain it. Okay. So now nutrition. Now speaking of nutrition. Speaking of which brings me to the topic, like how do the living beings obtain it? How does the living being obtain it? You have to obtain nutrition. So how does a living being obtain it? There are 2 choices or any organism to obtain this. Follow this process. There are two choices. Two, two choices. Basic choices. And then we can always study that in detail. Autotrophic, autotrophic and heterotrophic. Autotrophic and heterotrophic nutrition. So autotrophic nutrition consists at large we can see autotrophic nutrition at large matlab whatever we can see with our normal eyes and the plants. Autotrophic nutrition is something wherein is something wherein organisms make their own food. What autotrophic? Organisms make their own food. Plants, we know that plants can make their own food. Plants. Now going to the microscopic level. Small microscopic level, the level in which our eyes cannot detect, the level of microbes that our eyes cannot detect on the microscopic level. Now, focusing on this, plants, then we have in the microscopic level we have bacteria, we have algae, they have one common pigment. Pigment. The pigment that helps them in this making of their own food. The pigment that teaches them how to cook their own food. That pigment is nothing other than chlorophyll. Pigment is none other than chlorophyll. Pigment is none other than chlorophyll. Chlorophyll. Okay, the pigment that helps them in this category, in the pigment that helps them cook their own food, is none other than chlorophyll. Chlorophyll. Look at the spelling, chlorophyll. Students make a common mistake of adding an O over here. They make a CHO. That's how you can get the spelling over here. Chlorophyll. Okay, the chlorophyll is the main basic part. I will be bringing up a next video on this autotrophic nutrition. This is just the introduction to nutrition, nothing else. So I'll be just talking about the introduction and the basic parts. The next video which will follow is on autotrophic, and the one after this will be heterotrophic. Okay, after that we move into digestion and stuff. Will keep flowing from my channel. Stay tuned and enjoy. Learn, learn. You need to learn something. At this age, you of course need to learn. By learn, I don't mean learn it up. By learn, I mean understand, be able to teach people in future. If you can explain it to someone, you have understood it properly. And the basic of the term, if you can explain the thing you have understood, the thing you have studied, at the most basic level to anyone, you have learned it. You have learned the chapter. Not learn. It's not like learn it up and then like vomit it out in the paper. No, you have learned. You have learned it in the sense you have understood the stuff. You'll be able to explain, and that's the only thing everyone wants in their life. That's the only thing you can expect after you have studied. Because once you have understood stuff, you don't need to again re-memorize it. Okay. Now, speaking of heterotrophic nutrition now. Autotrophic was done away with. Heterotrophic. Heterotrophic, the thing we see in heterotrophic nutrition is that the organisms cannot make their own food. Hence, they rely on autotrophs. They rely on autotrophs. Own food. They cannot make their own food, but obtain them from the autotrophs. Not an autotrophs from other heterotrophs, but obtain food or nutrition obtain food or nutrition from other organisms. These organisms can be both autotroph as well as an heterotroph. These organisms can be both autotrophs as well as heterotrophs. Wait, I'll be speaking of heterotrophs later. Autotrophs, the ones obtaining food from autotrophs, can be summarized as in cow, for example, cow, buffalo, herbivores at large. Herbivores are the ones that obtain food from autotrophs. Obtain food from autotrophs. Now they are heterotrophs, they cannot make their own food, na? They are heterotrophs. They obtain their food from autotrophs. Now let's see heterotrophs. Well, take the example of heterotroph obtaining food from heterotrophs. Heterotrophs obtaining food from heterotrophs. Example, carnivores. Omnivores. Anything except the primary consumers. Anything except the primary consumers would fall in this category: heterotrophs obtaining food from heterotrophs. What comes after primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer? We will be coming in this topic much later on in the video speaking of the sources of energy and stuff, the food web and everything. Of course, that will be a bit later on because this is chapter 1. So now focusing on this part, heterotrophs. You have the definition to heterotrophs. That's not the definition. That's just for you to understand organisms that cannot make their own food but obtain food or nutrition from other organisms are heterotrophs. I will be providing a more detailed video on autotrophs and heterotrophs in the following lectures to come. So after this is the introduction only. This is only the introduction to nutrition. Nutrition in itself will contain 3 videos. One is the introduction, one is the autotroph, one is the heterotrophic. One autotrophic nutrition and the heterotrophic nutrition. Okay, so you know which to study, when to study. In case you're a bit late on studying, you can just focus on the part you just want to know the most. You don't need to see the whole video if you want to know just about a small part. So each and every video is dedicated one to each and every topic out here. Heterotrophic nutrition. Speaking of which, heterotrophic nutrition. Speaking of which, the examples that can be given, that we see at large, the examples that we see at large are the ones carnivores. The most common which we see are the omnivores. We ourselves are omnivores. Carnivores, omnivores. So basically, speaking of which, they are the secondary consumers and the tertiary consumers. Okay. And that was all of it. That was the idea of autotroph and heterotroph. One more thing, that the differences. Another differences come in. Okay. See, number one point of difference is organisms can obtain their own food. Organisms can make their own food. Organisms have the ability to make their own food. Organisms have the ability to make their food. Okay. Autotroph, number one. Organisms can produce, let's say, use a better term, produce their own food. Okay, I hope everything is clear, everything can be seen on the camera. Let's see, yeah, it's clear. Okay, organisms can produce their own food. In heterotroph organisms cannot produce their own food. That's the point one. That's the point one difference. That's the point one difference. Next difference. If we can produce our own food, like, why will we again look at our companion's food if we can produce it ourselves? Why will we obtain it from someone if we are able to produce it? We are powerful, we can produce it. Like, why will we want others' food then? See, hence these organisms do not depend on other organisms for food. These organisms do not depend on others for food. They just depend on some basic raw materials, and once they get it, boom, done. Food is formed. Heterotrophs, on the other hand, depend. These organisms depend, actually. These organisms depend on other organisms for food. Okay. Now, autotroph, the main pigment that is giving them this strength, the main pigment, there has to be someone behind someone's strength. If I'm strong, there needs to be someone based on whom I'm strong. That person, that thing might have made me so strong that I am able to stand right now. Okay, each and every strong person has someone to dedicate their strength to. It's because of that person I'm so strong. Each and every person has their own story. Right? Okay, so just a second. No, that wasn't a joke actually. That was a fact. Yes, that's okay. Autotrophs, like what gives them this energy, this so much of energy in them that they can produce their own food. Not only producing, they also helping the heterotrophs. What is giving them so much of energy? What is giving them so much of power? The pigment consists of the pigment photosynthesis. They consist the organisms falling in this category consist of chlorophyll. Sorry for photosynthesis, by mistake. Consists of chlorophyll. This is the main pigment that is giving them the strength. Oh my god. Can consist of any pigment. They can consist of any pigment, but chlorophyll. Any pigment but chlorophyll. Any pigment not chlorophyll, but chlorophyll, not chlorophyll. Same thing. Consists of any pigment but chlorophyll. Instead of but, you can also write consists of any pigment but not chlorophyll. But chlorophyll, and is not chlorophyll, same thing. But is a better term in this sentence. Okay, thank you. Have a good